Let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're going to follow the truly terrifying, immersive journey of a 7-year-old boy who finds himself trapped in a literal nightmare. And the wildest part? It's hiding right behind a completely normal bathroom door. We are breaking down a chilling narrative here that perfectly blends mundane domestic poverty with absolute cosmic horror, proving that sometimes the monsters under the bed are vastly more real than any adult could ever comprehend. So our story begins by setting this incredibly bleak sensory scene. We have a desperate family of 4, Father Dharan, Mother Mira, 7-year-old Arjuna, and his little sister Nyla. They're arriving at this desolate, freezing rental home secured by a rusted gate. And I mean, they have almost nothing. There's no furniture, no TV, just 2 bags of clothes and a very real, desperate need for a roof over their heads. Now, the house itself isn't your stereotypical spooky mansion. It's just relentlessly, unnervingly empty. But as we'll see, it's inside this absolute emptiness that something ancient is just waiting to be noticed. What makes this opening so incredibly tragic is the sheer isolation of our protagonist, little Arjuna. You see, while his parents are completely overwhelmed by the grinding, everyday stress of deep poverty and basic survival, Arjuna is facing this chilling supernatural pull entirely on his own. You know that universal childhood fear of the dark? Imagine that, but amplified by the crushing realization that you are completely and utterly alone in it. Literally, from minute 1, the moment they walk into the house, he feels this invisible thread tying around his heart, gently but firmly pulling him toward a simple, dusty restroom door at the end of the hall. He's existing in a completely different reality from his family. And that brings us to the first night. The house gets perfectly quiet, everyone's sleeping on the hard floor, and the pull returns. Arjuna gets up, steps into the restroom, and the air behind him literally folds. The wall just stretches out. When he turns around to leave, his foot slips, and here is where the dread really kicks in. He doesn't fall down onto the wet tiles. He falls through the floor. The entire world just drops out from under him, and he slides down a cold, twisting stone tunnel into absolute, suffocating darkness. He is completely thrown out into Valari. It's this impossible, breathtaking underground cave system, totally illuminated by glowing green algae. Here, he meets these pale-skinned inhabitants called the Valari clan, and almost immediately, they drop to their knees in worship. He meets their elder, a man named Vile, and 2 innocent little cave children, Luma and Tavi, who really just want to play. Arjuna is completely confused, obviously, but the sheer wonder of the place temporarily overrides his fear. That is, until Vile leads him to a dead-end stone wall, which suddenly softens like mist and pulls Arjuna right back up to his sleeping family. But here's the thing, this wasn't a dream. Arjuna wakes up at dawn lying on the hall floor, and he finds these thin, painful red scratches all over his arms and wrists from his fall down that stone tunnel. He tries to tell his parents, he tries to explain that he fell. But his parents, who are just exhausted and entirely grounded in their harsh reality, brush off the wounds as mosquito bites. It's incredibly frustrating, yet, if we're being honest, it's completely logical from their tired perspective. They literally do not have the emotional bandwidth to even consider a supernatural event. So, the absolutely crucial point here is that Arjuna realizes he is entirely on his own. The physical pain on his arms is undeniable proof to him that the monster in the closet is real, but he also realizes with terrifying clarity that no adult is coming to save him. If he gets swallowed up by the house, his parents will probably just think he wandered off into the street. That profound, crushing childhood helplessness, that is the true emotional horror of our story. Night 2 falls. Arjuna vows he's not going near that door, but the house doesn't care what he wants. That gentle pull from the first night, it turns into agonizing pain. His feet literally move against his will. The door clicks open, and he is violently dragged back into the dark portal against every single fiber of his being. Valari takes him again, but this time, the green-lit cavern is shaking with a terrifying, deafening roar. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer, massive scale of the horror awaiting him. Enter Morthak. We're talking about an ancient beast taller than a 4-story building, with skin like cracked rock, tusks like massive white bridges, and eyes burning like dull orange fire. And the worst part? This mountain-sized nightmare awakens for one reason and one reason only. It senses Arjuna's presence. He's not supposed to be awake in their world, and his arrival has essentially summoned an apocalypse for the Valari clan. The battle that follows is just pure chaotic brutality. The Valari warriors launch this brave but completely desperate attack with spears and nets, But Morthok, moving with devastating power, effortlessly crushes them, shattering stone bridges with its trunk like they're twigs. Seeing this absolute slaughter, Elder Vale grabs Arjuna. Vale knows that if Arjuna dies down here in Valmora, he doesn't just wake up back in his bed. Something inside his spirit will permanently break. So in a desperate move, Vale violently shoves the crying boy against the portal wall, forcing him back to the human world just to save his soul. Now, let's slow down for a second. Arjuna wakes up back in the absolute quiet safety of the Hollow House. His family is sleeping peacefully right nearby. He's completely safe. But all he can hear ringing in his mind is the sound of his new friends, those little cave children, Luma and Tavi, crying in pure terror. He's just a 7-year-old boy standing in a dusty hallway, grappling with an impossible moral weight. He realizes those kids don't understand gods or alternate worlds. They only know that a monster has come to kill them. Which leads to what is arguably the most incredible moment of the entire narrative. The door doesn't pull him this time. He pulls himself. With extraordinary, selfless bravery, he voluntarily throws himself back into that twisting portal, plunging straight back into the violent, blood-soaked cavern of Valmora. He lands right on his hands and knees, directly in front of the colossal beast. And man, let's see how this builds into an absolutely epic dark fantasy climax. At second 1, he's just a weeping child running at a literal mountain. But as his bare feet hit the stone, something ancient inside him unlocks. By second 3, his bones violently stretch out and his shoulders widen. By second 5, he is physically transformed into the towering adult god warrior that the Valari have been worshipping all along. And at second 6, he shatters a massive stone statue just to rip out these twin, glowing golden blades. The action here is completely relentless. Morthok swings its massive tusk right at him. Arjuna jumps onto the smooth bone, stabbing a glowing blade right into it just to hold on. The beast roars, violently shaking its head, but Arjuna just drives the second blade in, dragging himself upward. Blade, step, blade, step. He's scaling the beast's massive trunk, defying gravity, defying logic, driven entirely by the desperate need to protect the innocent. Morthok throws its head back, trying to smash him right into the cave ceiling. But Arjuna actually uses that momentum. He launches himself off the trunk, and for one impossible frozen second, he just hangs suspended high above Morthok's massive skull. The golden light from his blades perfectly reflects in the beast's burning orange eyes. Then, he brings both blades down, an earth-shattering, absolutely fatal strike deep into the top of the monster's head. He twists the blades. The orange fire in the beast's eyes flickers, and then it dies. The colossal body collapses, shaking the entirety of Valmora to its core. And just like that, the golden blades go dark, the massive warrior body fades away, and Arjuna is just a barefoot 7-year-old boy again, crying on the cold stone floor. As the dust finally settles, Elder Vale rushes over to the exhausted kid. Arjuna looks up and asks a genuinely heartbreaking question. If he's really just a terrified kid who doesn't want to die, why do they call him a god? Vale's response is incredibly powerful. Because adults name what they fear, children only feel what is true. Arjuna didn't fight out of some grand divine duty, you see. He fought out of pure empathy, simply because he couldn't stand hearing the sound of children crying. But sadly, this victory is incredibly short-lived. Almost immediately, Valiel orders the Valari to roll a massive boulder over the portal entrance. They are sealing the throat permanently. Arjuna is totally confused and heartbroken by this. He's asking why he can never come back, why he can never see Luma and Tavi again, especially right after he just saved all their lives. Varl explains it using a chilling metaphor that's absolutely central to understanding the story. He says Arjuna's spirit is like a brightly burning lamp in a dark universe. Yes, it brings light and protection to the Valari, but that exact same light is what attracted the monstrous Morthok to them in the first place. Arjuna's mere presence in Valmora acts as a glowing beacon for ancient, hungry things. So to keep both worlds safe, the lamp has to be hidden away. They push the crying boy through, the boulder rolls into place, and the portal is gone forever. Cut to the next morning, Arjuna goes into the bathroom, trying the door again. It looks completely normal. But then, a sudden, violent, supernatural cold shoots right through his bones. It physically feels like a mountain is pressing against the other side of the wall, and an invisible shock violently throws him down onto the wet floor. And once again, his parents rush in and completely dismiss it. They blame the wet tiles, they blame his overactive imagination, they blame a lack of sleep. It is the ultimate tragedy of unacknowledged trauma. He has literally just fought a cosmic war, but to his parents, he just slipped on some wet tiles. And this really drives home the absolute horror of Arjuna's everyday reality. Think about it. He has saved an entire world. He has slain a literal titan. He's been violently rejected by the very portal he protected. But to his parents, he's just a clumsy kid making up drama. He knows the absolute truth of what happened, but he has zero proof, and no one is ever going to believe him. He is entirely alone with this massive, world-altering secret. Which brings us to the final, truly terrifying image of our explainer today. That evening, sitting outside the mundane, quiet hollow house, Arjuna looks up at the night sky, and he spots a tiny dot of light. It's a star that doesn't blink, and it doesn't move. The whole world suddenly goes dead silent. That same supernatural cold returns to his chest, and he realizes that something out there, something cosmic and cold, is looking right back at him. The portal to Valmora might be sealed tight, but Arjuna is still a bright lamp burning in a very, very dark forest. And the hungry things? They've already seen his light. Keep that thought in the back of your mind the next time you find yourself staring just a little too long into the dark.